But there have now been so many thousands of protests involving so many millions of Americans. Now I think it's time to start having a national conversation of a different type, right? The strategy and the character of the opposition to Trump is not only self-evident as the most important story in the country, I think it's finally being recognized as the most important story in the country, which is nice. And, you know, you have the president clearly just fundamentally politically unable to contend with the depth and breadth of feeling against him, right? So these must be paid protesters or invaders from somewhere else, or they must all be violent criminals or whatever. No, actually, this is St. Louis, right? This is America. No kings, yes, queens, right? Like that. This is just us. It's who we are, and this is how we feel about you. I mean, this is Joplin, Missouri. This is Louisville, Kentucky, where thousands of people turned out. This is McHenry, Illinois. This is High Point, North Carolina. It is literally everywhere in this country, Americans in surprising numbers, in surprising places, turning out again and again and again and again to say, no, nope, we are not doing this. You are not taking over our country and turning us into a dictatorship. You are not going to be a king here. And so with all that proof in the pudding, right, with all of that evidence of where we are, it's now sort of time, if we haven't had it already, it is now time to really have a serious national conversation about where this all goes. Because this is not just like the resistance to Trump, right? Like this is the opposition to Trump. This is the other side. And if we're thinking about the two sides of this fight, well, politically, we're at a point where Trump, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but as a political figure, he looks sad and small, right? Nobody came to his $45 million military birthday party. He is a laughingstock on the world stage. He's being treated at the G7 right now like he's Putin's intern. The White House just announced tonight that Trump is coming home early from the G7 meeting tonight after so embarrassing himself there today. I mean, this is a president whose signature economic policy, his supposed tariff policy, is a punchline even among Republicans. I mean, someday, 30 years from now, the whole lecture hall full of Econ 101 students is going to laugh out loud when the professor gets out the chalk and writes taco on the chalkboard and has to explain what the acronym TACO meant in the Trump years for his signature economic policy that he thought would work so well for him, both politically and economically. It is a punchline. I mean, this is a president who appointed a madman to be the nation's health secretary, and who in turn, he has just put like a QAnon conspiracy chat room in charge of the nation's vaccine schedule. This is a president who is selling coins and gold trinkets with his face on them from the White House. This is a president who can't persuade the first lady to live with him. This is a president whose supposed best friend says he should be impeached, and by the way, is in the Epstein files. I mean, this is a president whose approval ratings are more underwater than any other president ever at this point in his term. He has already rushed right to the part where he tries to turn the military against the civilian population, where he tries to turn the force of the American military against the American people. And that is something that neither the military nor the people have an appetite for, and he is going to learn that soon enough. He has rushed right to the end, because he has no idea how to play cards against opposition to him that is this big, this sustainable, this broad, and this correct. He hasn't done anything as president that would win anyone over to his side. And the number of people who voted for him or supported him otherwise, who are now regretting it, grows by the day. And they don't just grow privately, they grow in the headlines every day. Everybody against him is getting stronger and more confident. Everybody with him is starting to get a little worried about how long they can stay with him as they see their numbers dwindle and they see him fail and flail over and over and over again. So for a would-be strongman, he's not strong. He is a remarkably weak and feckless political figure who is nevertheless trying to overthrow the American form of government while pushing incredibly unpopular policies and executing everything incredibly poorly with a laughingstock full of a terribly, terribly staffed administration and cabinet. I mean, who's in the Trump administration who you think like, skills, right? Or you think, popular. Or you think, growing political capital for this president by the day. Honestly. And on the other side, the opposition against him is big, deep, growing, confident, and increasingly unstoppable.